Hello, welcome to Towards a Christian TTRPG, where I try to design and develop a Christian tabletop role-playing game based on the Bible. So in this video, I'm talking about the spiritual gifts, which I call the giftings, and these are related to the passage in Scripture, which is 1 Corinthians 12, verses 7 to 11, sometimes referred to as the manifestational gifts of the Spirit. And this passage goes, "Now to each one the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. To one there is given through the Spirit a message of wisdom, to another a message of knowledge by means of the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by that one Spirit, to another miraculous powers, to another prophecy, to another distinguishing between spirits, to another speaking in different kinds of tongues, and to still another the interpretation of tongues. All these are the work of one and the same Spirit, and he distributes them to each one just as he determines." Okay, so the first point I want to make about this in the game I'm developing, is that everyone has access to all the gifts, and they can be used at any time. Players can use them to get them out of a problem, or to help them to solve a puzzle, or to figure out how to gain objectives. The giftings are used when players need God's help or extra help to resolve an issue. So here is where the D20, or the 20-sided dice, comes into play. So previously we had the 6-sided, 8-sided, 10-sided and 12-sided, which are used for the talents and the attributes. The 4-sided is used for equipment, and the 20-sided is here used for the spiritual gifts. So in the previous video I mentioned the callings. Some callings have a greater ability in certain gifts than others, so they can add 3 additional points when rolling for certain gifts. So for example, if you refer to the previous video, a teaching calling will add 3 additional points to the roll for the word of knowledge and help it to be more successful, because that's what a teaching calling has an affinity in. Now, no matter if they're successful or unsuccessful in their role, then it's up to the mediator's discretion what happens next. For example, according to how high the result is, the mediator can decide how much or how little information that player would get. Also, in a similar way to the motivations, each time a player uses a gift, they also add a point of stress to that character's spiritual attributes. To basically, no matter if they're successful or not, using gifts still adds stress to their spiritual attributes. Too much stress, and they can't use any gifts anymore until they rest. So players need to be fairly judicious in how they use them. So the general definitions of the giftings and how they can be used in the game are as follows. First one is word of wisdom. This is a special insight or understanding of a particular situation or person. So this does not give the players more information, but it does give insight into the information they already have. So in the game, this is used by the mediator when the players already have all the information they need, but might need a little more help in order to put the pieces together. So they can ask for wisdom in a situation. The next one is word of knowledge. So this is specific knowledge or information that the players didn't have before, such as names or places or information about what has happened in the past or is currently happening in a situation or in somebody's life. So in the game, this is used by the mediator to give players additional information that they may not have gotten from other areas. So it's important that all the information that they need should be available for the players within the game, within the adventure, but this gift can be used to give them help if they need it. The next one is a gift of faith. So this is a supernatural boost of faith, a firm conviction from God that something will definitely happen. Now in this game, the gift of faith has a specific purpose. This is used by one player to help another. If a player is successful in using the gift, they roll high enough, then that player can help or support another player in their action by adding a dice roll from their spiritual attribute to the other player. So if this player's spiritual attribute is a D6, they would add a D6 dice roll to the other player's action because they're lending them their faith. This is a supporting gift. It doesn't do anything on its own, but it can help another player's roll to get over the line. So this is in order to help each other out. The next one is healing. This is an instant or immediate healing of injuries or of stress. So it's a way of getting rid of stress. Healing is bestowed by the laying on of hands. So characters have to be physically close enough to do that. So healing can affect injuries as well as diseases and even conditions such as poison or stress. So this is used by the players to help other members of the group or other members of the party to heal after a fight or a conflict. So characters, as long as they're close enough, can lay hands on others, or they can anoint them with oil, which is a piece of equipment, to heal other members up to their full health. Now, players can't heal themselves. That's why we need to be together and need help from others. All right, the next one is miracles. Miracles are a constructive change of circumstance, such as a supernatural provision or assistance by no other possible means. Miracles are always constructive, not destructive. Players can't ask for a miracle to strike all their enemies dead. Okay, miracles should never be used to help someone, even an enemy, not to harm them. But they can be asked to use in terms of trying to get out of a difficult situation, to try to distract people, to try to help them to solve a problem or something like that. So this is used by the mediator to basically help the players out if no other way is available. But the result is always up to the mediator to decide. The next one is prophecy. Prophecy is a vision or information about the future. So this is usually a description of what will happen and what God will do, depending on a human's free will. So, for example, unless this person repents, then God will do something, such and such. This is used by the mediator to reveal something that will happen unless the players do something about it, or to give the players some sense of urgency. Again, the mediator can reveal information in the form of a vision or a dream or something like that if they don't necessarily want to reveal too much. But again, it's up to them how much information they reveal. Okay, it's very rare that God just says, this has happened, this has happened, this will happen, this has happened, this will happen. Often it's in the words of dreams or visions or indications. The next one is discernment. This is an insight into the different aspects of spirits. So discernment is usually recognizing which things are good and which are evil. Is a message that someone's receiving actually from God, or is it demonic? It's the ability to tell if there is a demonic presence in the room, if someone is being controlled, someone's being possessed or oppressed, and what the spirits are around them and what's happening. So this is used by the mediator or the players to help them know that there is something good or evil around the area and where it is, approximately what it is. So discernment is usually centered around places rather than people, but it can be used for both. And it's up to the mediator to work that out and to tell people. Next one is speaking in tongues. So this is an ability to speak or write any other language fluently. This allows players to speak to other characters who don't speak the same language as they do. They can speak any language at all. However, speaking in tongues needs to be paired with interpretation in order for the player to understand what they're saying. So you can speak the language, but you can't necessarily understand it. Okay, so the next one, the last one, is interpretation of tongues. So this is an ability to read and hear and understand other languages when you haven't learnt them. And again, this allows the characters to understand and to act as an interpreter of a language. This allows players to understand any other language at all. However, again, it needs to be paired with speaking in order for the player to be able to actually speak the language. So often you'll need two people together, working together, to actually have a conversation. Or else maybe you need one person speaking the language first and then understanding it next in turn. All right, and that's essentially how the gifts work. Now, again, these are things that are used at the mediator's discretion and depending also on how well somebody rolls. Now, the giftings have a different dice roll than the others. Again, they're using the D20, and the success in giftings is dependent upon 0 to 20. So from 1 to 10 is a fail. From 11 to 15 is a minor success. So you get a general success without being particularly exciting. But a 16 and over is a great success. So you've only got the 3 sections there within the rating for spiritual gifts. So it's a different aspect or a different role from the other ones. And that essentially is how giftings work. Depending on the role, they'll depend on what the result of the gift is, and it depends also on the mediator as to how much that will be. If they roll a 20, it could be an amazing miracle that happens, and the door comes open and they're free and angels start singing and anything can happen. But if it's very low, then maybe nothing happens. Or maybe a coincidence possibly happens, but they don't really know what's going on. Again, it's up to the mediator as to what goes on. And that's essentially the gifts. The idea behind these gifts is that people will use them and try to incorporate them into play as much as possible. But again, a lot of these do take stress, so it does add to your spiritual tiredness as you're going onwards. The players need to interact and work with each other to be able to create and use the gifts in the right way and to be able to solve the puzzles that they're in. And that's basically it. Thank you so much for listening. The next few videos I'll talk more about combat, conflict, stress, all the different things about how to interact with the players and what that means. As I said before, thank you so much for listening, and I hope if you're interested in what this game is like, please like and subscribe. And thank you again for watching.